Are you here? Why can I see you? Yes.
Can you hear me?
Sake. This is fucking annoying. Weirdness
alright.
is I can actually see you on Riverside,
Yeah.
but we're not in the same room. You're floating in some clouds.
Yeah. But you have you joined my room and immersed?
No, I'm trying to. It's saying immerse will prompt you.
And then it does nothing, right?
And it does nothing. Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna end the meeting, and then I'm gonna start a new meeting, and then I'll try and invite you in. Again, I think that's the best thing.
Okay, I'm going to go back to my home office.
Yep. Okay. I'm gonna exit this whole fucking piece of shit. The bleeding edge.
Fucking irritating.
But mind you, we are trying to like string together so many different technologies.
Yeah.
I had an idea actually for like a VR surface for our app.
Yeah. Be interesting.
Like if the Dreamcatcher Surface was just VR native, it would be significantly easier.
It would be awesomely cool. But it's an extra thing to ask someone to go into VR. If there was a kind of portal out, then
yeah. So you could come in either way, but it'd be like for us, we'd be okay. I'm up. I sent you an invite from inside of Immersed.
Oh, and there it is. Okay. Some kind of progress.
Is it though?
Oh, who knows? Downloading environment. Right. Oh, right.
Hey, buddy.
Hey.
I'm on your left.
Hey. How are you doing?
I'm alright. I got us splashed out. I spent $4. I got us this room.
Oh. Let me enjoy the room by moving. Where's the move thing? It's on my hands, isn't it? Can you hear me?
Oh yeah. Oh, but we're still on WhatsApp, so hang on. I'm gonna end the WhatsApp call.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now?
Aye, I can. I'm gonna move over there.
All right.
Well, for no particular reason, really.
No reason. Okay.
Right.
Oh dear.
How are you getting on?
Was kind of struggling, but I made a breakthrough today, and now I'm just working my sorry little ass off.
Hang on a second, I'm getting rid of this stupid music ambience. There it goes.
Ambiance.
Don't want any
Ambiance. Yeah, how's things with you?
Did a fair amount of progress on Friday. Saturday, Sunday turned into a complete shit show, which you don't need to really care about. But the TLDR, remember back in Minx at the top when I was going on about I could never see my children because Jerry is a complete fucking raving lunatic, or that sort of thing. And your advice at that point is just be patient because they'll come to you eventually. Well, it just happened. So Max, who's now the oldest, 17, and this is where the shit show starts. He's out and about with his mum. He's a student, and so he's done that all-nighter thing. Hasn't really slept for 3 nights. Hasn't eaten anything.
Oh dear.
In my view, I think he just went hypoglycemic, fell over.
Oh,
his mum freaks out. He doesn't remember anything between that point and getting brought back home, which would be the same as basically being asleep, I guess.
Yeah.
Anyway, then she starts accusing him of taking all sorts of drugs, He's lying all the time. But anyway, she goes completely off hinged.
Hmm.
And then calls me to recruit me to help her, as in Jerry. I phone Max, say what's the real deal, and he goes, I really don't know, this is all fucking crazy, etc. Anyway, so that was my weekend.
Okay.
It's still not resolved. However, on Friday, I did manage to get. I'll go through this once we get the call going properly. I'll delete all this, but I did manage to get quite an interesting workflow of rinse and wash for any update
So-
to anything.
Oh, that's
Not
cool.
just
But
transfer.
why aren't we recording that?
We are. We're 13 minutes into recording of me fucking around and not getting in here. It's been recording.
Oh,
Uh,
is there an official way to like start the clapper or something, or your webcam is not working?
yeah, I know. That's what I was trying to fix. And I give up.
Okay, this is a winning strategy. Giving up. I
Well,
think people should give up
Actually,
a lot more
let me
often.
try one more
actually.
time. Let me try one more time because I'm in your room now. Maybe. Huh. Okay. Fine. So I'm back being a lozenge. Or am I?
No, man, you look good to me.
Can't see myself at all. All right. Okay.
Y'all
Right.
look good.
It appears that we're recording your screen, which you can see here as well. Actually, just that tap, whatever you did there, because last time we didn't get the screen recording, we just got the audio.
Yeah, I know, right? It was weird, huh?
Yeah, and it was weird because it seemed that we were in a good place. I'm just going to check my mic. Yeah, one there, but
Check.
okay.
Check.
Right.
Check.
So I'm gonna put this screen here, just basically as the kind of production screen. I'm gonna look at
Yeah,
your
I
screen.
can't see any of that. To be
Oh,
to be
I'm
fair,
sharing.
to be fair. Are you?
I'm sharing. All right.
Does that feel uncomfortable for you?
You're just dissing me.
Does it feel unfamiliar?
It's like, so I feel somehow let down by the fact that you're not accepting the fact that I'm sharing my screen.
I can see your screen. I got it. I can see it.
Oh,
It looks
all
good.
right, okay.
It's a good looking screen. You shouldn't be ashamed of that.
No,
It's
no.
just got this
Quite proud
rotten
of that screen.
apple sort of
Look
thing
at
on it.
that. God.
Issue: device
Or-
struggling to record. This may be due to high load on your device. Try closing all other apps and tabs.
Yeah.
By chance, have you got some tabs open?
I might have one or two. Yes.
One or two.
One
Well,
or two. But
if your device is
wasted
struggling
enough
to record,
time.
then you're never gonna get. Can you just act like whole Windows? I mean, imagine your computer crashed. How many tabs would you lose?
Well, this is what I was doing. I
These
was about
tabs.
to reboot, and then you're saying, "Dude, just come
What
out
have these
on."
tabs?
It's like, oh, okay,
What have these tabs done for you lately?
not that much. Well, I just reboot them. Is that worth it?
No, can't you just close down whole windows of tabs? I mean, it is just a RAM issue, right?
Probably.
I mean, WhatsApp is enough of a drain on your bloody system.
Get
Look
rid of
at
that.
all that.
That's easy enough.
Look at all that.
Don't want to lose that. ChatGPT. Okay, yeah, I can close all that. Yeah, to be fair, I might actually be straining this poor wee laptop a wee bit. I'll get rid of all the ChatGPT things, see if that improves things. On the Riverside piece, I'm bringing in the stuff that you sent over.
You've still got multiple Riverside tabs open, so that'll be loading up hard.
Yeah, that should be done. That's done.
Shall I make a backup recording of on the headset?
Yes. Yeah. That's good.
Okay. Well, I'll do that in a bit because it doesn't respect the privacy of these screens.
Yeah. Device is still struggling, or is that just? Let's see if it pops up again. Have I got anything else? Particular cursor. Just kill QuickTime.
6 times.
What the fuck's that doing up? No idea what it's doing.
Bang some
tunes. VLC. Don't want to kill text. Can kill this text now. Zoom can fuck off.
Look at all this crap. What about the Horizons agent? That'll probably cause you some conflict, right?
I don't know. That was open.
It got you. Snuck right in there.
Okay, well that's a reasonable.
No, fucking WhatsApp will munch your fucking memory. Like that's a badly written app because they tried to make it because they tried to make it be like all universal and shit, and that just succeeded in making it suck on everyone's
mind. Right. Okay, I never looked at what the resource drain was for WhatsApp. I would just assumed it'd be really easy because all it's doing is moving around text.
You'd think when it gets hard is when you invent your own framework to make cross-platform app development easier, and now you've got all these extra
Of course you would, because how else are you going to control the universe? Yeah, okay.
Man, it ain't gonna take over itself.
Well, it's not popping up. Exactly. Right. Do you want to start the backup recording? I'm going to just continue this recording, but I'm going to note something so I can jump ahead and delete everything before start.
We need a mark clip button. Yeah, but there's a button for it. I don't know if you want to use the button. But that probably cost a couple of committee meetings to get that button in there. I think, they're like,
well, it would be rude.
We need a mark button. And then
okay, so Mark. Okay, so we are
Mark.
Now
yeah. Hey, all right, I'll start this backup. All right, we're recording on computer, on VR headset, local machine, cloud, and we have VR webcams running. I mean, how else can we complicate this?
Well, I've also got a completely independent audio device recording my audio, just in case.
Right. So I need to have that too, do I? Okay. All right. So how do we, with all the world's technology surrounding our senses, how should we proceed?
Right. Do you want to take me through the stuff you've got? Because as aforementioned, my weekend's not been that productive, but I do have some things to impart.
Impart now. All right. Well, so I struggled a lot to get the Artifact API written. In particular, how to segment it neatly between the bit that is consumed by an app and all the bits that go into providing the interface that the consumers eat or consume, while at the same time trying to make use of the old code that I had, because some of it was actually quite torturous to make, like how to generate a Git commit, so how to update the structure of a Git commit efficiently. And I really struggled. I did. I prompted like crazy. I burned a lot of tokens and time, and then I figured out that I ended up actually going through the interface definitions by hand repeatedly over and over and over, and then eventually I could dump the whole interface into O1 Pro, and it wouldn't find any conflicts or anything like that. And from there, then I started in earnest generating the modules that build out what the interface describes. There's a bit of interdependence there. Like if I want to test the Git read capability, I first need the ability to create a repo so that it has something to read and all that. I figured out a rough plan for identity management on Artifact, and I ended up building Artifact because except without the process management, without the execution, so just the purely Git as a data store part, I kind of ended up just building it because it was hard to not do that, if that makes any sense at all.
By you ended up building it, you mean you were like AI leveraged, or did you actually have to go in and do it?
AI leveraged, most definitely. It just got hard to not build the whole thing. You know, like a lot of the techniques I think for writing code are about saving human time. And when human time is taken up by having to explain exceptions or like why aren't we making the whole thing, then it's just kind of easier to just build the whole thing for real.
Okay.
So that was frustrating. It probably lit up a bright spot on the usage of O1 Pro because it was a heavy couple of days.
When you ingested it all, did you ingest the current code base, and did it handle it?
I only ingest the modules that I need. Like for example, here I'm asking for. I made an interface called environment, and I just want the environment piece written. And so I ingested all of the API, which I often fully ingest, which is about 8 kilotokens. And then I ingested all of the Git KV repo, which is about another 12 kilotokens. So about 20K all up. And then I asked my questions there. These types of questions that involve using some existing code have been getting some heavy load. Like this is the reasoning steps that it went through to do it, which is a lot by my standards. I know.
Nice.
Right? But the frustrating thing was the problem this whole time has been how to get to a point where I can ask a question of O1. I'm like sitting in this space where I'm like, I don't even know how to chat to this bot about what I want to do because I don't even know how to say it clearly. And so that was frustrating. Felt like being cut off from the machine. But once I got there, then I was away.
Were there any snags, any rough edges, any weirdness that you had to step in?
Well, the only thing I noticed was some of my custom instructions were there from when I was trying to like pistol whip 4.0 into behaving right. And so I went in today and I re-edited my custom instructions to be more less pistol whippy and more tailored for O1 Pro.
Sorry, go over that again. Where were you using 4.0?
In the custom instructions on ChatGPT under customized ChatGPT, these instructions are effectively a form of sysprompt. I had some words in there that were put in there from a time when I used 4.0, and I'd sort of forgotten about them.
Oh, right. Okay.
You probably have the same.
Yes. Yeah, I've been putting them all into the thread. I was unaware that One Pro had assist prompt.
No, you probably would have had it because it comes with 4.0. Like it just all of the bots
Oh, 4.0.
read this.
Yeah, 4.0 is 4.0 does this. Okay.
No, in ChatGPT, this section, no matter which bot you use, it is passed on to the bot in some form. I'm unsure exactly how, but
Right.
I would implore you to check your settings here because it may be influencing the outcome of O1 Pro unnecessarily.
Right. That is an interesting point, which I'll check now.
But yeah, it took me a lot of thrashing around to actually get to the point where I could ask a succinct question because I just didn't know how to design the system or how to modularize correctly. And so, yeah, that was my struggle. That was my pain.
Where is this?
So click on your pretty face up in the top right.
Yeah. It's what, customize?
Yep. And then, you've got it turned off completely.
God,
Oh, no, here, there you go.
Yes, that's
Right.
very old.
And then that's all polluting O1 Pro's output.
Ah, right. Okay, good spot.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. I'll rerun.
Frustrating, eh? Frustrating.
Yeah.
Mind you, O1 Pro, like, to be honest, it didn't seem terribly affected, but it's still, the less you can constrain the bot, the better the output in general. I still have not found any errors or faults of reasoning within O1 Pro. I thought I had one today, and I argued with it. And then after about the third turn and it sticking to its guns, I realized the fault was mine.
Yeah. Yeah, I get that a lot. Yeah. Okay, good.
Well, I don't get that often. That's the first time that happened. I was like, I got it. That's a fucking, it made the wrong choice. And then I was like, oh, actually.
It's light prompting with emphasis appears to be quite effective. So, and I've not done this thoroughly yet, but putting in all caps into a word gives it seems to give it additional weight.
I find that there is no, under no circumstance have I found that any emphasis has been required. It follows all of my instructions incredibly accurately. I still find no faults in this system, and I have been trying. It does exactly what I tell it to do, and it does it kind of right. It does it like it doesn't do it wrong. It uses it does things that are smarter than me. Like it sort of gives answers to questions the way that I would have asked them if I had thought about them a little bit harder. It is a brilliant machine.
It is. Okay, so what's next from your code factory?
My intended output is to output artifact that stores in an S3 bucket and uses DenoKV for atomic transactions so that under load or under any kind of circumstances, it doesn't end up with an unintended fork in the Git history, for example, and to do it in a secure way where I'm simply using an API token that I generate and put into the consumers of the system. Once I have that, and I really do think I'm going to have it, I thought I'd have it today. I hope I'll have it tomorrow. It's really that kind of a position we're in right now. Once I have it, then I will install it on the customer site, and the module that polls their accounting system will poll and write to Artifact, and then that'll be stored in the cloud. And then it's like, well, now I present the data in a browser, and that's the milestone I'm trying to get to. I think I'm going to get there this week, possibly in the early half.
Oh, fighting words.
Oh, the rate, right? The rate. It's like there are quirks. There are things that slow you down or slow me down. But once I get up on the plane again, once I get foiling again, things just move very quickly. It's just you can sort of crash, and then you're like, oh dear, things are slow, and then you work through it, and up you get again.
Yeah, cool. Okay. Good.
I have more things to go over, but none of them are the more strategic type of things. Not code or AI related.
I have a similar update, which is irritatingly prefaced by I'll have more tomorrow. Let me share the screen. I killed a whole bunch of. Well, why is my laptop going to sleep? Hold on.
That is not helpful during this whole.
Why? No, my cursor's moving, and your recording has stopped.
Oh, dude.
Right, I'm going to refresh that. That happened before.
Yeah. So you've dropped off the Riverside recording. I had a bad experience with Riverside. I just couldn't get it to work for a meeting I was trying to run.
Yeah, I don't think Riverside's. He's got the right idea. It's still not doing it.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's not updating my thing. I'm not sure if it's immersed or. Oh, hold a second. I got a warning. What's that?
Nope, you're back in, buddy. I see you again.
Yeah, I think there's a thing stopping it. Okay, so what I did on Friday was decided to run a few tests because this is fairly fundamental, and I wanted to get some kind of confidence that this process was right. Now, we are seeing here, I will commit. Obviously, it's currently just in text file, but it seems to be a 4-layered approach in order to get the confidence levels. So remember, we were talking about a single run gets one output, another run gets a slightly different output, but sometimes puts in some interesting things. And so we had areas of agreement, disagreement, and minority reports. So what I did was I pulled down. I wanted to do the test on something that I wouldn't have any institutional bias with, and so I pulled down a book transcript in order to do this. So the first one is to create an assessment, which is easy enough. We've done that many times. Second one is to run that. You can read it.
Okay.
So the first one you run 6 times.
What's the input?
So you run this first one 6 times. and then gives you 6 answers. Then, if you run each of those 6 answers, looking for points of agreement, disagreement, and minority reports, and you run that 6 times, and then you get a proposed final output. You run those, and then you get a final one. And what I'm finding is a very trustworthy output at the end. It scoops up all the points it would miss in a single run.
Right.
Although a single run looks good,
that's the
it is
thing,
clear
right?
from the outputs that there are some things that is sometimes it's missed, or
Right.
quite often you see it's mentioned in one of the assessments out of 6, or 2 out of 6. But by running it through twice, what you get is convergence. I don't think we need to do it more than twice, but this flow is to take any kind of input and be reasonably certain of the output being complete and correct.
Hmm.
So
That's
it
pretty
doesn't
solid.
seem much when, it doesn't seem much when I say it, but this actually took quite a long time to hand crank.
Yeah, a bit.
But that process of essentially it's 4 steps. So you do an initial assessment. It's like a start for 10, then you run it 6 times, and then you compare all the outputs against the initial assessment. Scroll down, and then you
So,
get
Hank,
it
what's
to
the difference?
propose it.
What's the difference between like why you said points of agreement, points of disagreement? What about just points? Points that were neither agreed or disagreed.
Because what I'm trying to generate is percentages. It's like how much agreement. Because if you just said
Why do you care?
points, because of the subtleties of it. If there is something that is below our conversions level, say 80%, then there might be something more to talk about there. If it's 100%, it's like done deal, happy days. Some of them go down to 47%, where we've been talking on a transcript and we've been talking past each other. And so, is that an agreement or a disagreement or a point? So, um, the reason for this rinse and wash is it gives you a certainty percentage that you can look saying, hmm, uh, Thomas Scott agreed with this 47% of the time. It's like, really? Or Thomas Scott agreed with this 100% of the time. Great.
What model were you using to run these?
O1 Pro, all the way.
Do you expect there would be any difference if you ran O1 Mini?
Probably speed, yes.
But accuracy?
I've not run that experiment yet. But what I'm expecting is when O3 comes through, rather than go and check any kind of incremental changes between O1 Mini and Pro.
Right, right. Yeah, good
I'm
point.
just using Pro, and I'll wait for O3,
right.
and then I'll run benchmarks.
Right, right. Fair enough. Okay, so we got one more week until O3 Mini comes out.
Yeah. But the bottom line is through this process, any incoming messy data gets washed and rinsed, and then outputs assurance levels on each of the statements that it makes about that incoming information, so that you know with some confidence that at least what you've recorded in the on chain, the minutes is actually right. And if it's a bit nuanced, then you can see it. It's just stuck, just jumps out. It's like, okay,
it's really cool.
47%. Let me show you. I'm saying it. When I'm just describing it, it sounds like I've not. So this is I've just been using Life 3.0 as something that I'm not going to add in my own bias to. And starting with the structure, going through each of these. And if I go back and pull up some of the old ones. So this is the second step. It's got options for adding additional things that was previously not, none of the previous summaries had included. It's got, because we've got these renumbering and so on, that's maintains the consistency between it. If I go back a step further, and if I've got the right one, you should have percentages. Oh, this is yesterday.
That's pretty good. I can see that the things I do in code
doesn't
would
matter.
benefit
Anyway,
from that too.
Somewhere in all these tabs, there it comes back with percentages of certainty for each thing. So I'm going to try and find parse analysis. Yeah, there you go. So it's like, okay, well, let's take this one, which is just one. So you start with one seed, then 6, and then 6, and then 1. And that final one has this assurance level around it.
You could almost trust that, eh? Like you'd sort of not need to.
Washes, they've all agreed. And remember, there's no editing or no messing around. So this is easily automated. All there is cut and paste once this goes. So all of this is agreed. It names me, but I'm not the author. So approximately 9% plus of each outline substance is the same. So it's like, okay, you're in sync. Okay, so here's one. 33%. It's like you're not in sync with that one. You've got 17% assurance of all of the runs from one input. 17% assurance that this is. It's like, I think we would just have a dead cutoff. If it's less than whatever we want to choose, 50%, then it doesn't get included in the, in the commit. Now, I've done this for this book just to see. So what I did was I just took a few chapters of a book, transcribed that, put it into this process, and saw where. Now, I'm assuming it's a good book, actually, Life 3.0, but seeing where each run of the bot diverges from other runs. And then what I've found is the reason I've got two rinse and washes is the first one seems to be diversion on AI. The second one seems to be diversion on the thinking of the author, which is more interesting. And then when you get to smush them all together, you've got a confidence level of a statement as opposed to just a statement.
Yeah.
So, as I say, I ran this experiment. I was very pleased by the outputs because I read the couple chapters and then ran it through this blind, got the final output, read the final output, and I was thinking, yeah, I pretty much agree with it. So, taking one step back, this method of rinse and wash, I think, can be used to take any NL or any data source even, and rinse and wash it twice. And what you have at the end is not only something you can be confident about, but if there are small things that maybe are weaker points and so on, you get a real number, and then we can deal with, well, the bot can use that as a single asset, as opposed to, all the intermediate steps. So you go from effectively a transcript to something that's really quite rock solid, but also recognizes that that transcript might have been really, it might have missed the point. There might have been areas of disagreement. There might be a squirrel that went off the mark after you.
I think that this can be good for any type of application. Like, for example, generating code. I would like to know that the code file that I had generated was the best of 6, or something like that. Like, there seems to be something very valuable in this best of multiple runs, and it would make me feel safe. Like, the fact that this machine can generate arbitrarily many right sounding answers, it would be great to have a handful and know that the machine assessed itself before coming back. I wonder how long until that's just part of how the bots work. But the extra strategy I wanted to add for you here was that you may get some benefit from the sequence in which the events occur, because it sounded like you were kind of taking the events as a whole and then processing them in the ways you described. Whereas if you maintain the chronological order, you can allow the inspection of minorities or one-off things to really drill into that area of the text and be like, are you absolutely sure that in this area there isn't anything, as opposed to in this whole text, do you think this thing applies?
Pause. Good idea, sir. That's brilliant. Yes, that would work. Because what you're
I have
doing
a deeper
there...
problem to raise with, sir.
Okay. Sorry.
I have a deeper problem to raise with you. If you are in agreement that that's a good idea, that's great. But the deeper problem is that these types of things are strategies. There appears to be a near limitless number of strategies that we might want to apply. We can endlessly come up with improvements on them. We need to pick just enough strategy to get us to our goal of ambient attribution, but more importantly, one of the tools it would seem that we are obliged to make as a core component of the Dreamcatcher is the ability to rapidly describe a strategy in natural language and have it be implemented, have the bots able to generate strategies and evaluate them so that people can come up with a tweak or a new idea, and our tooling will help them make it and run it. And even if it's not terribly optimized, the fact that you can still eval it and score it and be like, that strategy of, for example, taking consecutive or temporal order within a text to allow focus to really tease out minority reports, that's just another strategy. There should be libraries of these strategies where people can, so you want to do some transcription. Okay, here's the winning strategies. Here's the accuracy scores. Here's the benchmarks against reference text. If you're reading white papers, choose this strategy. If you're reading transcribed conversations with errors, choose this strategy. That type of thing. Like, we want to be all the apps that I see lately are really just the application of a particular strategy to a particular problem. And the problem that those startups have is that they must continue to have the best strategy, even as the bots are changing and all the stuff. And so if we make a generalized strategizing tool, you can make any of these startups and experiment with their kernel, the thing that makes them special, much quicker.
Yes, and I'll build on that. So my next step in sharpening the saw, as it were, was to take this strategy, because this is a generalized strategy for running through O1 Pro and getting confidence levels. So it would be a case of 20 minutes to open up the tabs necessary in order to run the strategy itself through O1 Pro and tighten it that way. And that maybe there are points in the strategy that are not required or superfluous or deviant in some way. Maybe some are rock solid. And that is a kind of generalized strategy for anything. Now, I think what you're saying there is to take a step back and think about this as how do we allow any changes? Is that correct before I go on?
It is correct that I am requesting a step back and to view it all as just strategies and to not get bogged down in any given one, but to focus on the general case.
Okay. That's what I thought. Good. Okay, so on the first point, and then I'll go into changes. On the first point, I would say that this admittedly handwritten strategy produces good results, but it's a bootstrapping way of getting more and more solid strategies for an arbitrary thing that you want to do. And then when a change comes in, you've got the comparison of the confidence that the change or any particular part of the change, given a natural language conversation, actually makes sense. And then you get one output that is relatively easy to read as opposed to great screeds of things because it's got an opinion. So and so said this, so and so said that, and they disagreed in not only this document that they're trying to update, but also back in the record of all conversations. This has been discussed before, and so on, and it gives you something at least concrete to decide now whether there's a cutoff at 50% or whatever. That's down to monkey brain. But I think this strategy is the way to bootstrap up using O1 Pro to actually teach us what the correct strategy or what a solid strategy is for updating any asset of any type using NL discussion or more any text. I think I may be wrong, but that's what I think. Over to you.
Okay, cool. Sounds like a platform feature is looming. What's next?
Well, that's it for me because that consumes my Friday, and as you see from my tabs there, I hammered it hard. So
I see
as soon
that.
as you can
That
get
looks
away
like a
with
lot of tokens.
pipelining, as soon as there's a pipelining, that thing, that'd be so nice.
Yep.
But that's all I've got to add to the table today.
Okay, give me a second to just check my stuff.
Mhm.
Trump Trump released a cryptocurrency.
Yeah, he
meme
also
coin.
released a perfume, Eau de Trump.
Does it smell like guns and money? Does it? What does it smell like?
Oh dear, it's a conversation for another time. What I think about that guy, and it is definitely in the grey area. I do not have a black and white view of him.
Well, what I'm trying to hint at is that you could not possibly make a more crypto-friendly signal than launching your own cryptocurrency.
As president of the United States, yes, and I think
Yeah.
we talked about that 3 calls ago, where it's reasonable to expect the crypto world to go wild because it happens to be now backed by the president of the largest economy in the world. Um, so I think, well, you can just see what's happening with crypto right now. Um, it's probably going to lack regulation. It's probably
It always
may
did,
fall
though.
on its face in 4 years. Yeah, but it may fall on its face in 4 years' time if there's a change. But for the next 4 years, I think it's as solid as crypto has ever been.
Right. So 4 years is a long time, especially when you have AI on your side. Should we be reassessing how heavy we go in on the crypto side of things?
I've never particularly liked crypto, but yes, I think we should reassess it.
Okay, the reassessment is given the designs that we've worked on for years now. I have made a few little sketches, like in the repo, there's the blockchain Tendermint NAP, where I have taken in the documentation for the Tendermint algorithm and played around with O1, being able to generate an implementation of that algorithm, including some of the faults that have later surfaced in Tendermint, like the live lock scenario. And O1 appears to be very good at reasoning through those things, just based on my knowledge of Tendermint and how I expect it should be done. Now, the point of that is that I then took those sketches and have been toying with how to rapidly create a blockchain out of Artifact that has consensus, where the consensus is modular, could be configured by chatting with something so that it can provision a chain or a set of nodes that was exactly how you wanted it to be for your particular use case. It could reason through the complexities of why it was this, that, and the other thing, blah, blah, blah. Then the thing to focus on, I think, is this this market of computational resources like bandwidth, latency, storage, compute, GPU, and quantum. And if we can present those resources in this decentralized way that's highly configurable and AI native, that's a great place for ambient attribution to thrive. But we can also connect it up to the major cryptos and have very sort of low overhead payments and be much more crypto native, so to speak. Over to you.
People care about scarce resources, and that was quite a long list of resources. They also like not to be bothered with the detail. Is the optimization not around the token cost per reasoning as opposed to GPU bandwidth and so on? Perhaps you could get the time to reasoning and the output, but is anyone going to care at the front end whether you used 1,000 GPUs or one GPU? What they're going to care about is the output and how long it took. Over to you.
I do believe that this is the point. Um, the AWS data centers run pretty hot. They run all day and they make a lot of money. All of that compute workload should be being done on a system. And so that's what we should be trying to supply. And I know that my quote's a little fuzzy here, but I'm simply trying to say that at our heart, we were designed as a blockchain, and we always have been. Um, the arrival of O1 Pro has made it remarkably faster to build what would otherwise be nightmarishly complex systems. In addition to that, being able to actually make them so that they work, being able to verify them, like it doesn't seem too far-fetched to imagine that O1 Pro could get us a significant distance along the road to formal verification. Even all these very esoteric things can be done quite rapidly, and now with crypto being friendly, like we could just reach out and bridge to these other chains and be like, we're AI native, we do all these things, and now you can naturally hold your crypto assets on this chain, for example, whilst purchasing compute.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a reasonable point, well made. The of course, there's the usual bootstrapping thing with any kind of blockchain, getting enough nodes up such that it is robust. But bridging to others seems more practical. And if you have those bridges in place, especially if they're easy to execute, then the question really spins to why wouldn't you?
There is no reason not to, but there's a deep. Sorry, you have not finished.
Um, no, given that our assumption is it's going to be in the legal realm crypto friendly for 4 years, then we shouldn't expect any restrictions that we're going to come across, any problems in linking that as opposed to linking to Barclaycard or whatever. So we should do it if it's lightweight in terms of your time. Um, yes. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I'm satisfied with that. Sorry. After you.
The question isn't so much is it light on my time, or why wouldn't we do it? I think it's also like, well, what other options have we got? Like we want to make ambient attribution. We know it needs a blockchain. We need to make that blockchain. It might as well be a blockchain that has good features as well, and those features would be modular, as in, we can make stacks for the various things and work away at them. And I think that in an extraordinarily rapid time, we can have a functioning blockchain network. But the thing with crypto is not about bridging to crypto, it's about bridging crypto to the real world or the fiat world. Because my buddy at Binance was like, all the banks are building out crypto desks and the software required to run crypto desks. And so they're busy sort of saying that crypto is bad so that they can squash the power of these exchanges because they want the exchanges to shut down. But in the meantime, they're building up their ability to be able to be exchanges effectively because they want to make all that money. They feel like it should be them. And that's typically their route. They definitely missed the trick with the missing out on the exchanges. And so being able to do something like the mergers and acquisitions field for traditional companies, where we'd use crypto funds, crypto fundraisings, and crypto operations where people can crypto back little projects or little stacks that do things in the real world, like transforming a company to be autonomous. Those types of activities, I think, will get a strange, rare green light for a small period of time where it's going to be more about asking forgiveness than permission.
I strongly agree with that last statement. It comes down to crypto has had a bumpy road up to this point. Some people still think it's all to do with buying cocaine and hookers. Other people think it's all about becoming a billionaire, and others, like Mastercard and so forth, think, well, we've now got backing in the president of the United States, and so we're gonna we're gonna latch in somehow and make that available because we'll get our skim. Um, I think we're in a place where the sort of people who would understand attribution and contribution and the dream catcher are the sort of people who would understand crypto. So we don't have to worry too much. It was an interesting comment that you made about for now we've got a window where we can ask forgiveness. I think that is true. I think the zeitgeist after you.
I have a buddy I talked to about exit planning from companies. We were talking the other day, and it struck me one of the clearest examples of a great idea, or sorry, that came out wrong. Not a great idea, a great opportunity. Um, there are a lot of small businesses. Now, you could argue that perhaps even the company structure itself is really a consequence of the inability of humans to coordinate efficiently, or the lack of AI, the lack of internet AI is why companies are in the state or structure that they are, perhaps. Okay, so maybe even trying to take over companies is not is not the game. But aside from that, the fact of the matter is there's a large proportion of everyone's needs are met by businesses. Those businesses are widely accepted to be run inefficiently, and moreover, they're difficult to exit from because the founder or the person who runs it can't remove themselves from that day-to-day business. It's not a high-tech business, it's not a this or that, it makes a lot of money, but they can't get out. Often the boomers that want to exit, they don't have a lot, they've gotten by on minimum technology investment and they just want out. And so the opportunity that presents us is actually, when my friend said, when people come to him and try to sell their business, often they spend years preparing it for sale because they need to extricate the owner out of the business. Otherwise, the business is worth nothing. And so they have to do all this transformation to get someone else. But if O1 Pro is smarter than you and I, then maybe a system that we can cobble together with O1 Pro could be smarter than a lot of people at running a business. And it's almost certainly that if it's only been 1 year since four GPT-4 came out, and then we got O1 Pro, one more year ought to be significantly better again. And it would seem that the age of an autonomous company is upon us. And so if we could actually get in the game of being able to offer transition packages where we turn up with money and some bots, and we're like, I know that everyone else can't pay you for your company because they can't get you out of it, or they can't find someone to replace you in an economic way. But if you teach our bots and work with us to make them, we will, continue to pay you a profit share or whatever agreement we strike. And we have not only we've solved two problems in one hit. We've extricated a dependent founder, a dependent owner, so the company depends on this person, and we've managed to sever that link to make it now modular and portable and saleable. And at the same time, we've implemented the digital transformation to AI, which we theorize is going to be vastly more efficient at running the business, but can also coordinate with other such businesses more efficiently, and ultimately can agree to merge with other businesses where it makes sense for those autonomous things to do. So that's the opportunity that I see, and that can all be backed by crypto, I think.
I'm sorry, I'm not exact, but I refer to a conversation we had roughly 6 months ago around M&A, um, which speaks to one of your points about extricating the founder. And the conversation was roughly around a compelling event. And now the most compelling event is retirement. And in retirement, in that conversation, one of the things we were exploring was if a company is worth 10 million, let's pay this 65-year-old guy who just wants to go off and play golf $1 million a year, which is a form of credit, and make it easy for him or her to actually retire, because that's something they want. It's a compelling event. They need to retire at some point. They don't want to go into their 80s. Now, the second part is the longitudinal piece, which is the mergers. So the acquisitions, I'm sure we can produce stocks and therefore naps to scrape and give us good targets. The longitudinal piece is you want targets that are suitably similar, that it makes sense that they could be merged. And if we get those two pieces right, as in a compelling event, whether it's retirement or illness or they're just fed up, whether they are struggling and about to go bankrupt or whatever. But if we get a longitudinal one, then the benefit of applying O1 Pro is that we do it once for a number of different companies, but in the same sector, because they're all basically doing the same thing. Over to you.
Well, sounds like the thing we want is Amin attribution. The thing we need is a blockchain. And the way to make money with both those things together is to do autonomous companies in the real world using 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 crypto raised funds.
I'll raise Sorry.
Primarily because the amount of regulation around those crypto funds couldn't possibly be very high for a little bit of time.
I agree about the regulation. I think regulation is not going to get more onerous. Um, I think we would need to field test this in order to tell the AI what kind of companies um, or what kind of founders would be up for it. Because a lot of people are not as au fait with the current situation of AI and crypto as we are, and they may have prejudice, which makes it let's not go for those guys or that sector. Um, However, I think it would be relatively easy to run some experiments where we stick O1 Pro out to look for M&A targets um, in a particular vertical, whichever you want. Um, yes, actually.
Can we go speak easy? Because I got a bunch to say, but it's not very structured.
Yeah. Let's go for speakeasy because this is quite high cognitive load because what you're saying is quite interesting. Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, I also got to go pretty soon as well.
Yeah.
So, what I really want out of all of this is a system that can kind of tell me what to do so that I can know that I'm making the smartest moves possible with my time and other assets and who I'm talking to and what I'm doing and all that. Right. And so, if we can get to a place where our platform can guide us in that area, like it can sort of help us out in every way possible to just be smarter, like that's really the thing that we want to get to. Where we go to apply it, I think acquiring companies is like it's the only place to go. There really aren't any other intelligent places that I can imagine that an AI would lead us. But really, the key is get the AI to tell us what to do, get us to coordinate with other people who are also doing the same, and kind of transform the world to be like that.
Yeah, I agree, and that's kind of in my mental roadmap. So the reason I spent that time getting a process which takes in messy information of any kind, as long as it's in text at the moment, um, and it goes through rinse and wash to a thing where you've got probabilities and assurance around statements, is because uh, then quite quickly, if we clag on Overwatch, we can take the messy world of reporting, misreporting, people being optimistic, people being pessimistic, and combine them and have a number that we can look at each statement uh, and actually make what you just asked for, which was the best reasonable decision based on the evidence available. Um, I
Right, but it seems like we shouldn't go anywhere near that level of quality until we had gotten the ambient attribution system running.
um, uh, I think that is our choice. We could do either, but it needs to be in serial. But given that ambient attribution also requires the update of, it's the same process as this fundamental process. Um, I can go back and will go back.
So I think what you might be asking is to have this repeated generation be part of the platform earlier rather than later, right? Because the amount of manual time it takes is immense.
It's yes, it's not MENS, but it is in parallel. But it's in parallel in groups of 6 and 4 steps, and so it's half an hour, but it does involve a lot of cut and pasting. So it's um, it's probably the next thing I would ask for after nap to nap. But also with nap to nap, depending on how it's done, I could probably do it anyway with nap to nap.
Okay. Okay.
So
Well,
it's
yeah.
not,
I
it's
mean,
not adding anything new onto that. It's just a way of using nap to nap.
I better go now. Um, were there any other topics you wanted to bring up?
Not this side, other than to get any. Uh, well, we've already gone through it. I want to go through it again because I went through my thinking, and you seem to agree that that thinking is sound. So I'll
Yeah.
continue.
Yeah. But I just want you to not get too hung up on any given strategy, and just be aware that there are many other strategies. The bots will change, the strategies will change. We just need enough to get us to ambient attribution.
Well, here's a question. I
That's
think I
it.
know the answer. If we're still in Speakeasy, sorry to talk over you there. Here's a
Yeah,
question.
no, that's
I
cool,
got
man.
I got a fork here. I could use this process to improve the process, or I could use this process to produce ambient attribution.
Use the process to produce ambient attribution. That's just the
Right.
easiest. Like all we want is ambient attribution. That's it. That's it. Because once we have that, like all these cool things we talk about, like buying companies, optimizing companies, and launching platforms and blockchains and all that. None of that works if we don't have ambient attribution. But once we have it, we can go like mad because you almost can do no wrong. Like once you have ambient attribution, any activity that uses it is helping it. Any activity that we undertake that uses ambient attribution to calculate the rewards for the participants is improving the Dreamcatcher network. And so we're gonna absolutely just go for it, and we're gonna run around convincing everyone else that they should be using this system too, and they should put their money into this network. So the sooner we have ambient attribution, the sooner we can start that.
That's the yes, I agree. So my work for the next 4 hours, I'm going to apply this process to the previous transcripts on ambient attribution, specifically in order to get uh, some kind of sequence diagram, flow diagram, mathematical explanation that is a hard definition of what ambient attribution is. Uh, After that, what I'm
And how it can
expecting
be
is
implemented.
to, yeah. Oh, how it can be implemented. I'm leaving the implementation to you. What do I need to do with the implementation?
Well, because if you're just like, oh, here's a formula, like that's not enough. I need like here's an example of it being applied. Alice
All right.
does
Okay.
X.
All
Bob
right.
does
Okay.
Y.
So you went.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yes, you did say that 4 calls ago. You were talking about synthetic examples. Yeah, that's easy enough.
Well, concrete
Okay.
examples, really.
Well,
Concrete
by
examples.
synthetic examples, what I mean is I'm going to be asking O1 Pro to pretend to be a customer, to pretend to be a truck driver. To be,
Yeah, it's fine.
you know,
Either way is fine.
that's
But
all.
I
That's
can't
what I mean
build.
by
I can't build without that. I can't build without that because the formula. I'm like, well, it's a pretty formula. Tell me what Alice does.
yeah. Okay. All right. Yeah. Cool. Um. Yeah.
In transmission.
Yeah. Yeah. Um. And my laptop's. You stupid man, Maxwell.
What you
I
did?
just realised.
What you did?
So, Immersed warns you that having multiple displays means that the experience will be degraded, and it's because virtual displays don't map well to physical displays, but the mouse is trying to do the same for both. I've tried it and they're right because you can end up losing your mouse point. And so, oh shit, stupid man. So what I did was just pull out the USB-C, which links to my other monitor, and of course it's going to go to sleep if it doesn't have power, because that's what I've told it to do. It's not Merce's fault.
Okay, well, you've been recording the whole time because your video camera is still here. It's pointing at the wall. I don't know if that's what you meant, but
well, we'll see. We've got so many recordings of this, we should be able to get all the info out.
Surely one of them would work, right?
Yes, right. And at the very least, I know I've got an audio recording. You should have an audio recording. And you should have a headset recording.
So I'm going to upload to YouTube now, right?
Let's find out.
What you did? Okay. One of these recordings is going to make it. Yeah, so I mean, I am quite excited. Like, I think that once we can actually promote this system to any and all, like, we will be able to gather, like, this will be the most speculative time in the history of times, if you know what I mean. Like,
it's an extraordinary time. But taking your Aladdin's Cave analogy, it's a bit like we've got two very big doormen on the front of Aladdin's Cave. There's lots of people who want in, and we're asking, so what do you want? As opposed to, this is what you need. It's a gold rush. It is a gold rush. It's going to be very chaotic.
Yeah.
It's doubly so because of what Trump's doing. With crypto.
And so if we have ambient attribution, we can convince people that we are the best bet for their speculative dollar. That's really the equation that we need to win it. People are like, why would I put my money here versus any of these other crazy wild opportunities? And we're like, well, we got like business fundamentals at heart here. We got actual revenue.
It's sheer voice and confidence in us, and it is the ability, which we're not very good at, of describing everything that we've concocted.
Yeah, but if we can show it, if it's implemented and we can show it, and we're like, this is ambient attribution and this is how it works, this is it working.
It becomes much easier. Yeah. And you're maxing out your drive there.
Thanks, buddy. It's how I like to live. Have you ever wondered at just how much unused SSD space there is in the world?
Or like how much unused GPU in all these PlayStations and
yeah, right.
It's sitting there. And also the other thing, I mean, the corollary of that is so GPU plus energy equals output. You could think of that as a magic box. If you stick $1 in it and get $1.01 out, I know everyone would be doing it. It is a waste of complexity. There is a hell of a lot of compute out there.
There's a lot of spare resource around. There's a lot.
Yeah.
No, I think we're going to do very well very soon, buddy. But we got to get ambient attribution up so that we can actually promote the system and use the system to go do things. And it doesn't really matter what we do with the system. You kind of can't fuck that one up, right? It's just make some noise.
Yeah. The The thing I'm trying to avoid is manually doing it, which means
Yeah, that's why we must have like the trigger point for our launch, I think, or for us to actually go into user mode or go into inhabitants on the network as opposed to designers of the network is once we can have a system of being able to ingest or take on any new task in an AI assisted way, which means the ability to make a strategy and very quickly have it implemented, but also to be able to do all the mundane shit like emails, but crucially to do strategy, like, you know, being a strategic thinker, having the bot run like 100 different variations of a strategic thought question
well,
and
this
be
is
like,
exactly
yeah.
this double rinse thing. I never told you on the recording. I probably shouldn't have anyway, but I'll tell you now. So
Well, Riverside's still recording. Should we stop that?
is it? I thought stop it.
Yep. No.
Fuck's sake.
And now, so when we want to record, we can't. But when we don't want to record. What do you want to name this motherfucker? This thing here. This thing just went down.
Or, oh, you need to transcribe it before you ask the ball. Can you change the title afterwards? Because you've given me permissions.
Yep.
So just stick the date on it. And then I'll ask the ball.
Oh, come on. We can come up with an answer. What did we do here? Rinse and repeat.
We did rinse and repeat. And on your side, how would you sum that up?
I wouldn't. I'd just call it multi-rinse generation. How about that? Says it's working. Shall I stop mine?